I am absolutely thrilled to tell you guys that tonight is my first fantasy football draft of the year. That's a managed league. We have done a lot of real best ball drafts, and best ball has its place. Best ball gets me excited for redraft season. It gets me excited for fantasy football. I get to draft some players, but this is when things get real. This is when the ish hits the fan, if you will, Sammy. Tonight, we're drafting my very first fantasy football managed league. All right, this is no best ball nonsense, okay? No dynasty nonsense. This is the first managed best ball draft of the year, and we are going with the same settings as the Flock League. That is a start 8 league, okay? So 1 quarterback, 2 running backs, 2 wide receivers, a tight end, and 2 flex spots. Now, it is very important that everybody notes, I have changed the quarterback scoring to 6-point passing touchdowns for this league. That's a little preview of upcoming content, maybe coming from the Flock League.
Yes, little teaser there.
But it will be 6-point passing touchdowns, full PPR, no tight end premium, none of that nonsense. And these are managed leagues, all right? So setting our lineups every week, trades, waiver wires, etc. So appreciate y'all big time being here. Jonah, you can go ahead and get this thing popping for us. Welcome in, Sammy. I am drafting at the 1 spot. Everyone's going to say it's rigged. It's weird because like Jonah, what happened is Jonah, he randomized the draft order 3 times. And what he accidentally did is he just, instead of doing a draft order, he showed the results of the league as far as like, he basically just did the standings. So he put me first place. I'm like, fair enough. Like, what can I do? You're down there at 11th. Like, it makes sense, but you know, I can't really rig it at this point. I'm going to go open my cheat sheet really fast on the, on my draft guide, which you can find on Flock Fantasy, entering my username. There's the draft that we're in. I am currently drafting at the 1 spot. And let's open this bad boy up. I've got plenty of players available here in my first tier. You can go either one of these running backs. I really don't mind between Bijan Robinson, Jahmyr Gibbs. I feel like you can make a case, obviously, that the offense is better in Detroit. That's a fair case to make.
Yeah, for sure.
However, I would argue, Sammy, that the offensive line is better in Atlanta. Like, I think the offensive line is better in Atlanta overall. Yeah. I think Bijan Robinson is built to have that, you know, 300 touch season. Not to say that Gibbs, I'm projecting an injury or anything. So I really think you can go either way here. I've gone both ways back and forth at different times of the year. I'll take Gibbs here to start at the 101. My first draft, I go Jahmyr Gibbs.
Oh, so exciting, man. There's something different about a real managed league where you know that you're going to be setting your lineup the second this draft ends. It's a lot different than a best ball where you're not going to touch it again. So I am pumped up to be here tonight. And yeah, of course, you know, the rich get richer. Zach with the 101. Shocker to nobody. I'm sitting here at the 111. We're gonna notably one of my least favorite picks on the board this year, but we're gonna make it work. You know, 100%. I've never been one to shy away from adversity. So that's where we're at tonight.
By the way, that was weird. Okay, Puka and Chase go off the board. It was weird how it showed. Sleeper glitched a little bit there.
Yeah, I saw that too.
One thing I do want to let you guys know with my cheat sheet tool, there's a bunch of new features that were launched, but you can also look at like the draft board view now. This is really helpful when you're in your draft to see like visually if there's a clear faller. Like based off of my rankings, you can sort by your platform ADP. You can sort by land leagues ADP. So like real competitive drafts that we have here. But for example, if you're like on ESPN and, you know, let's say you're in the 5th round and there's a guy who's typically going in the 4th, you know, available, it's just a good visual for you to see. You've also got my strategy, which you can follow through with as you go. It doesn't mean you have to perform my strategy. General guides to whatever format that you're in. And obviously each pick gets graded as you go. I went Gibbs. We had Bijan come off the board. Then Puka, Chase, McCaffrey. Now, we know that it is redraft season, not best ball, because things are trying to get crazy. Not to say that McCaffrey at the 105 is a crazy pick, but if we go and we look at all the drafts we've done so far this year, McCaffrey has gone at the 5 spot just twice. So about 20% of the time he's gone that high. I don't think it's crazy to take him there, Sammy. Obviously, there's injury risk, but there's injury risk with any player at this point, right?
Yeah, JSN is everybody. I mean, we've said it over and over again. JSN's everybody's favorite top 5 guy to not have in their top 5. But, you know, I think, I mean, with Christian McCaffrey, it really is just an injury thing. Like, I don't think anybody would argue that he doesn't have an incredible season if he stays healthy. So, I mean, honestly, Zach, like, if I told you that Christian McCaffrey played 17 games this year,
yeah,
where would you take him?
At the 101, obviously, 100%.
I do think it would be it'd be a conversation because there is the declining efficiency. There is adding Mike Evans.
He was as inefficient as he could possibly be last year.
Exactly. You're completely right. For me, it would be like a conversation of like the receiving volume just coming down a little bit because adding Mike Evans, you know, George Kittle, hopefully playing a full season after he does come back.
I have to be honest though, Sammy, like the power station is taking its victims. Clearly, they've already done a sacrificial ritual to save Christian McCaffrey this year. Because you guys need to know, every other year, someone is sacrificed. McCaffrey has been sacrificed half of the years in the past 6 years. And the way that you know that they didn't sacrifice McCaffrey is if other guys start getting injured first, right? Pearsall. Pearsall's been sacrificed for 365 days. Pearsall's sacrifice hasn't stopped since week 3, of the NFL season. That's how much they're squeezing out of that juice. All right. Debo's there. We'll see how is Debo a part of the sacrifice? Is Mike Evans a part of the sacrifice? It's hard to say. George Kittle already sacrificed last year for Christian. But at this point, Ricky Pearsall's out. I think Debo's more of like a desperation plan than like they're excited about it. I feel like McCaffrey is like he's basically a lock for 100 targets again, and that's just so hard to find, you know.
Yeah, it is incredibly difficult to find. You're absolutely right. The offense is going to run through him. We kind of know that to be the case. So this is why I don't like the 111, man. I mean, CeeDee Lamb falling there would have been incredible. If Jefferson fell, also would have been awesome. So I mean, with my very first pick of my 2026 managed redraft season, I'm going to take just a guy that I love. We're going to go Marion Hampton.
Some people might think that's crazy, but I like it.
I'm going to be starting running back. I think it's a massive tier here. Sleeper ADP doesn't necessarily agree with the order that I have these guys ranked, but, you know, I mean, I'm going to get 2 running backs that I am very, very happy about at this turn. It comes back to me because Ran on the turn here with the Tony Romo profile picture, which is awesome.
That's legendary, by the way.
He goes Cook Achane, and so I'm going to get my Hampton is my 10th overall player. I'm going to get my 11th overall player here with Chase Brown at the 202.
I thought you were about to start like both of the second-year guys. That's a fun start. Sammy, you know, it's a good and bad thing drafting from like 8 to 12 because you know you're going to get 2 players that you love, but there's almost too many options. Do you know what I mean? Like it's a perfect back end of the board to have like a double RB start. It's like the perfect back end of the board to do that this year, but it's almost a blessing and a curse because there are so many players that you could justify going there. Like lately, I'm wondering, should I really not have James Cook as like one of the top guys here with all this talk about him getting more work through the year? Is that real? Is it not? I don't know, but we're seeing it outworked through camp and it's constantly being reported. It's like I think this is something that we often misunderstand about James Cook, by the way, is like, okay, wait, what do you mean he's going to get more receiving work? He was already like a 17 point per game scorer last year. Yes, that's true, but James Cook has not really been a receiving threat. 2.4 targets per game. You guys can't see this. Let me put my screen down here. 2.4 targets per game in the past 2 years. And he's been able to score basically 17 points per game in back-to-back seasons. If that number went to 4, like there's 100% 20-plus point per game potential there.
I agree. Even if and there's 2 ways to get there, I think. If his receiving volume increases, but also, Zach, this is an offense that just hasn't thrown the ball very much the past 2 years. So they've been built through the run game around Josh Allen running the ball as well as James Cook. And so his target share, you know, hovering between 8 and 10%, it's actually like it's not terrible, but they just don't throw the ball enough.
Right.
So I do think there are 2 ways for him to have that increase. Sure. In a half PPR, I think like that's where I would have a separator where I would prefer James Cook. in this big tier that I think exists here with like the 5 guys that just went off the board. In a PPR, I lean to the guys who I'm more confident in their receiving volume. But I will say, like you mentioned about this part of the board, you do end up with starts you like, but you have to take 2 guys that you value pretty close to each other.
Yeah.
And Danny and I were talking about this, how last night when we were streaming, that you do end up with starts you like, but it just doesn't compare to the guys at the front of the board. And that's why we everybody loves the 101 and the 102 this year, because those 2 profiles at running back at the top of the board are just unlike anything you can get at the back.
Truly unheard of. Okay. So after Cook, Achane, you go Brown. I am honestly surprised to see Genty fall to the 205. I'm not saying anyone's having a bad draft at all whatsoever, but that's a little surprising to see. London at the 204. Yeah. It's always fun to start with like a receiver running back. Bowers at the 206. I've said this in passing. I really do mean it, that everybody's looking for the next JSN in a receiver. I think that next JSN could actually be Brock Bowers, in the sense of like how valuable he is to your fantasy football team. Derrick Henry off the board at the 207. Then Ken Walker. If you guys are drafting in ESPN, this will look different, because in the ESPN drafts I'm getting in, names like Walker, Chase Brown, Hampton, a lot of these guys are available at the 2-3 turn. Like, you could be drafting at the 101 and Hampton could be there. Brown could be there. Walker. It's incredible some of the drafts you can do over on ESPN. But obviously, we've got a very sharp group here. I think the best way for you to prepare for your home leagues is either like get in a league with us or do a bunch of mock drafts on Flock Fantasy. Flock Fantasy has a mock draft tool. There's constantly, last year we have like 300,000 mock drafts happen or something like that. Like, the number is ridiculous. So people are constantly getting into mock drafts here. If you don't have an account yet on the Flock site, you can create a free one. Use the code LAM when you sign up. Then you'll be able to get into those mock drafts as well. And by the way, I am going to do a giveaway tonight. A lot of you guys know about these giveaways that I do on a daily basis when we're streaming. I'm going to give away the 2026 Season Pass. What is Season Pass? Season Pass is a $34 membership when you use a code LAND. Have to use code LAND when you sign up. You get my cheat sheet, which you're going to see me using throughout today's stream. You get my draft guide, which you just saw at the beginning of the stream. I'm going to help you on some live streams today. Complete access to rankings. And the best part about this draft kit is it's not just like help for your draft, it's help for the entire season. A lot of people are selling you draft kits. They're like, I'll help you win your draft. No, on Flock Fantasy, we help you win your year, okay? Wow, should I tagline that? That's pretty powerful messaging right there. But I am going to give away a season pass today, Sammy. All you guys have to do to enter, step 1, go ahead and hit a like on the stream. Step 2 is a code word. And today's code word is FIRST, because it is my first real fantasy football managed league of the season. I am practicing for the Flock League and very excited to be here with you guys. So if you're already a member, I'll make sure and get you some vouchers instead of a membership. Okay, AJ Brown, Love, Rice off the board. I got 2 turns on here back to back. And I don't know how you guys feel. To me, by far, the most valuable players on the board are both receivers. Like, I just don't see how I don't go double tap receiver here. And this is what I said in my strategy video. You know, I said, look, in an ideal world, if you go Bijan and you go Gibbs, you know, it'd be perfect to go and, you know, get your running backs. I'm going to grab Malik Neighbors here. But it'd be perfect to go and get your running backs, you know, 2 through the first 3 rounds, right? If you guys haven't watched my strategy video, it is out. I'll show y'all here exactly what it looks like. That's it right there. 27 minutes of insane amounts of details and data and research on how to draft this year. But we ideally want to leave the first 3 rounds with 2 running backs. But as I mentioned, it's okay to like stray from that strategy if it means you're forcing it. For example, right now, my best available running back is probably Breece Hall. That's fine. Like, taking Breece Hall at the 301, sure, that's fine. However, I find it really difficult to do that when I have receivers like George Pickens and Nico Collins available, and even if you wanted to throw like Trey McBride in there. So at this point of the board, I have 2 guys that I think could finish top 6 at receiver. It's just so enticing for me to start my draft with a running back that can finish as the top scorer in fantasy, a wide receiver that can finish top 6 in Malik Neighbors, like ceiling outcome, and then another wide receiver who could finish top 6 in Nico Collins. So that's how I'm going to start my draft. Anchor with the running back with Gibbs, and then back-to-back hits on wide receivers with 2 guys that I think could easily be top 12 finishers. Like, I would say this, Sammy, the problem with Nico and Neighbors isn't that it's difficult to project what they would do in fantasy. It's like, how are you sure you're going to have them for the entire year? That's the question you're asking.
Sort of, yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
It's surrounding implications and circumstances, right? With Neighbors, it's the injury. With Nico, it's the offense. But looks like you just took 3 guys that went in the first round of drafts last year, pretty consistently. So
that's true.
I think,
and if we know anything, well, last year tells us everything about this year, so I'm killing it so far. I'm kidding, obviously, but
can you believe he got this start?
Can you believe that?
Unbelievable. Yeah, so I think it is a really good start. And look, like your strategy, I think that it needs to be able to be malleable. It needs to be able to. You have to be able to pivot on it if things don't go perfectly how you expect them to. And in this case, I think that it was an appropriate thing to do. I would probably go wide receiver there as well. I do really like Breece Hall, but I think you're just so solid at RB1 with Gibbs
when you have
Bijan,
an anchor like a Bijan and a Gibbs, like McCaffrey. I would argue
do it enough justice.
I would argue though, if I was in that position, it was McCaffrey, like with his injury concerns and his age,
that
or like
things, I think.
It 100% changes things, you know. But when you have that Gibbs and Bijan and how young they are and just not even in their prime yet, it makes it feel so much more comfortable, so much more palatable, if that's the right word, to go out there and grab 2 receivers that you think have immense upside. By the way, the fact that George Pickens falls to the 305 is criminal. And I got to give a big shout out to Team 5 here. Like McCaffrey, Walker, Pickens. You can argue that if you're not a McCaffrey guy, you're worried about his age, that Tadarian may have reached here. I don't think it's crazy to take him this high. In fact, someone commented on my strategy video and they said, what about McCaffrey? Like, is it crazy to take him in that top 4 or 5? I said, look, I can never tell you you're crazy to draft McCaffrey at any point of the draft, right? Like, history tells us it's silly for me to tell you you can't draft McCaffrey there, because that just doesn't. Okay, we know that's not the case. Obviously, he has his own injury concerns, but man, to get double cheeked up at running back and then round 3, George Pickens is there. I love that start.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun.
We've got Breece off the board, then Kyron, Jacobs at the 307, Devonta Smith at the 308. You are close to being on the board here. I want to give a big shout out to everybody in the chat. I did ask the question, Sammy. I said, I put a poll in the chat. I said, if no injuries occurred, who's the 101? And right now we have over 100 votes there. And 36% of the chat is saying Christian McCaffrey. And 50% is saying Jahmyr Gibbs. Only 13% Bijan. Which I find slightly disrespectful to Bijan Robinson. I understand why that's happening, but I find it disrespectful a little bit.
It's probably just the vast majority of, I think the majority of people are Gibbs over Bijan, and then once you add a third option in there, it's just hard to get there. I think for me, I actually went Gibbs. Even if you told me McCaffrey was going to play all the games, I think that the upside of Gibbs from an efficiency perspective, from a touchdown perspective, from a receiving volume perspective, I think it's enough for me that I would still take the younger player, even if I knew McCaffrey was playing 17 games. But who knows? That's not the situation we're in, and maybe I would actually feel differently if that was truly what was going on.
Sure. I see a lot of people in the chat. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, sleep. There's sleeper ADP for you.
That's a shock factor for me. Bucky Irving, my beloved Bucky Irving, comes off the board at the 309, and here I thought this year I was going to come back on Bucky. Look, I will say, Sammy, this does not feel accurate. No disrespect to whoever just took him, by the way. Logan, I appreciate you. Hopefully we're all kind of like mock draft, like these are real drafts, but we're also prepping for our home leagues if you have big money leagues out there. Bucky cannot go this high. I'm sorry, just can't. If you look at all the drafts we've done this offseason, we've done over 10 drafts now for real community leagues, competitive leagues. Bucky on average is the 408, and that is combining the fact that someone took him in the second round in one draft. So really he's a late fourth, early fifth round pick in our drafts typically. That's where I'm like excited about being in on Bucky Irving. But I got to be honest, guys, like, yeah, Logan, maybe you're a Bucky guy. This is not meant to be disrespectful. This is why I think it's really important to make sure you've got a draft tool out there and you're not just drafting by looking at whatever ADP is being shown to you. If you're on ESPN, if you're on Sleeper, Yahoo, drafting from ADP is going to not yield a good result. It just won't. Some of the ADPs aren't updated enough. Some of them are just terribly placed. That's why in my cheat sheet tool, you can sort by my rankings. You can sort by the platform ADP that you're on. You can sort by Land League's ADP so you can see what's happening in real competitive drafts. You can also look at like what the draft board looks like for this ADP. So for example, like right now, you can very clearly see who's a value on the board right now when you look at it. And you can very clearly see who's a reach. Like Bucky Irving is the only player in the late fourth right now that has been selected when we're looking at competitive drafts. When you look at my rankings as well, same thing. So you've got to have some tool. And look, obviously I'm going to go out and advocate for the cheat sheet because I think it's absolutely incredible. My 2026 Ultra cheat sheet last year, thousands and thousands of people used it. People always coming back every year saying, hey, I won my draft. Is a cheat sheet ready this year? You can get it by becoming a season pass member with the code LAND. It's just a $34 purchase. It's like 20 cents per day. It covers you not just for your draft, but for the entire NFL season. Rankings every single week. Always updated for you. You get some vouchers to come ask me some questions on the live stream as well. So if you want to get the cheat sheet, become a season pass member with the code LAND. I put a link in the chat for you. Got to use the code LAND. If you've had a free account in the past, save Sammy some time so he doesn't have to go back and change your account. Make sure you look at your account, make sure it says LAND before you purchase. But I'm also going to give away one of those season pass memberships tonight. So if you'd like to enter to win a season pass, all you have to do is like the stream and type the code word today, which is FIRST. The code word is FIRST because it is our first real managed league of the year. Okay, sorry for the rant. Tetero McMillan at the 310. Sammy, you took a receiver at the 311 there in T. Higgins.
Yeah, I went T. Higgins. I think that he deserves to be, honestly, like right next to George Pickens. Truly, I think it's a very similar bet. Pickens is like an early third-round pick. T. Higgins tends to slide to the late third. It is a wide receiver too, but you're getting access to a phenomenal offense with so much consolidation to the top two guys. I already have Chase Brown, so I'm making a bit of a Bengals bet on this team.
Hey man, Joe Burrow's available. You could actually go Joe Burrow here
available
too.
At the 402 here, but it is an even year, Zach, and on even years, Joe Burrow stays healthy.
Okay, so this is a good pick, actually.
Yeah, it is a good pick. Now, it's unfortunate here, honestly. I mean, it's fortunate because I got a bunch of players I love. It's unfortunate because I have a bunch of players I love, and I have no idea who I want to pick. There are 3 receivers here and a tight end that I would love to add to this team. And I don't even...
Tough
you get on the clock and you're like, do I really want to do this over this?
Yep. My rankings get tested every time I draft. The heart versus head mentality. You can go with your heart if it's the same tier. If it's a separate tier, typically you want to go with your head. You know what I mean?
No, it's literally like these guys are like my next 4 highest ranked, all in the same tier.
Literally.
And I'm gonna go with a guy that I've been touting all offseason. Super excited about him. I think I'd be remiss. He is the top of my rankings. I'd be remiss if I let Jalen Waddle not end up on my first real managed league this year.
That is higher than you guys are probably typically seeing him in Sleeper, but I think in the Flock League, if you want Waddle, he's probably going to be a first half of the 4th round pick. And by the way, let me be very clear, guys. Some people were like, wait, what's wrong with Bucky Irving? There's absolutely nothing wrong with Bucky Irving. There's 100% a world where drafting him in the late 3rd pays off this year. But there is plenty of risk baked in, right, that we have to consider. And when you're drafting someone way ahead of where everybody else is, you're just not getting value anyway. In fact, I almost guarantee you that if you put 100 people in land leagues and had them draft 90% of those leagues, Bucky would be available at the 404 for sure, right? Like he's typically a late 4th. So it's more about, 100%. It's not about him being a bad player or a bad pick or like, I like Bucky. I'm going to talk about him in a video tomorrow. In fact, tomorrow, make sure you got your notifications on. I'm releasing a video called 5 players, fantasy experts hate, and I'm going to tell you why they're all wrong, aka I'm going to roast everybody on the Flock site. Not really. But I think Bucky is a player that absolutely has huge potential, but you do not want to find yourself overdrafting players just because you think that they could be really, really good. You know, you want to build the best team possible by allowing the draft to come to you. And that's not what I think happened here with Bucky Irving. And I'm going to go out on a limb and say that Logan probably is freeballing it, which is okay to get that experience. But, you know, you really don't want to be doing that in your big money drafts.
Yeah, I think he definitely makes it the 404. It's like I mean, sleeper ADP is different because he's so high. But there's a world in which he falls to the 5.9.
I don't think that's absolutely crazy. Like, I have seen that happen before. I've seen him be in the middle of the 5th. In fact, the latest he's gone, I guess, in these leagues is 51, which would be
early 5th.
Early 5th.
503, so 504.
Point is, when he goes in the 5th, sometimes you don't want to push his ADP up to the 3rd. And by the way, you don't really want to be the reason a player becomes undraftable. Like, if you're
sure,
I was gonna throw out like Rachaad White, for example. Like, I've been a big Rachaad White guy all offseason, but that's because when we first started covering content, his ADP was the 10th round, and now you have to take him in the 7th. Like, do I want to contribute to a player no longer being palatable from a draft cost, a price tag perspective, right? So, and the answer is typically no for me. Okay, we've got Matt Bear coming out here. 2 wide receivers, 2 running backs through 4 rounds. I do like the Javonte Williams pick. Our first quarterback does go off the board there at the 312. Friendly reminder, this is a 6-point passing touchdown league, so just keep that in mind. I don't think it's breaking news to say that we're probably going to change that in the Flock League. Maybe I'm breaking news here, Sammy, but so far the votes
it's definitely not
like it's going to happen.
The votes look in favor of the 6-point passing touchdown. We'll see. That will be a video coming out before all the draft festivities as well. So look out for that on the Flock League channel. We're proposing and voting on a few potential rule changes. Moving to 6-point passing touchdowns is one of them. I've never understood the 4-point passing touchdown, honestly. Like, quarterbacks are overpowered.
I've never gotten that.
They're not overpowered because all of them score 6 points. So I don't see the need to.
I am frustrated at Egbuka and Flowers falling that far. I'm just watching them fall and thinking, there's no way.
Yeah.
There's no way they're going to keep falling. I mean,
they were 2 of the 3 that I was looking at with Waddle.
Look at Borey's start, dude. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a huge Kyren guy.
Okay, swap Kyren out for, like, if Breece were to go there or whoever you like, but I mean,
ridiculous.
Flowers at the 4.7. I don't think I've seen that. I don't think I've.
He should be like a mid to late 3rd round pick in my opinion. Like, to me, there's no difference between Flowers and Devonta Smith, honestly. Like,
I understand that wholeheartedly. And my favorite vote for who's the next JSN is Egbuka. I typically see him go like sometimes late 3rd. So, man, that's a great value there. Burden's a name that I'm absolutely obsessed with, that I love. But you're gonna have to be all in. That's the easiest way to say it. You have to be all in on Burden if you want him this year. You have to be all in.
I'm seething with jealousy on Tech Ops here. This is ridiculous. Chase, AJ Brown, Breece Hall, Colston Loveland. Nuts. Absolutely nuts. If you offered me that start in the Flock League right now, I'd bite your hand off.
All right, I am on the clock here. And I've said this many times on stream, guys. There will be often moments where my best available player is a quarterback, and I probably don't draft that player. That's just the reality of the situation. Man, this is a super interesting part of the board.
What is he gonna do?
Wow. This is so interesting. I am probably going to draft Henderson here. I feel as if I can take that risk. I know not everybody's a Henderson guy. I talked about him in a recent video. And the expectation historically for a player drafted with his draft capital, with his talent coming out, is that there is going to be an uptick in involvement in the second year. What really kept him off the field a lot was pass protection. I'm going to go ahead and draft him here.
Which he was good at in college.
Which he was good at in college, struggled with his first year. If you want to hear a case for TreVeyon Henderson, go watch this video I released 3 days ago, the #1 fantasy football breakout for all 32 teams. Essentially, guys with that draft capital historically, like 85+% of guys historically get a big ticket involvement in their second year. And I would expect that for TreVeyon. Now, this second pick is also really tough because I feel as if I don't go for a specific position, it will fall off a cliff. And you have to think about this when you're drafting at the turn, guys. When you're drafting at the turn, you have far less flexibility. I'm sorry I keep promoting videos, but the best and worst draft spots in 2026, I talk about this. Draft board control. You don't have the control when runs start to happen at certain positions. I am almost betting my life on it that I'm not going to like the running backs that come back to me. So I'm going to look at this tier of running backs that I have here. And let me tell you something. There has not been more love for any player out there than Bashul Tutin this entire offseason. This man is getting steamed and loved everywhere. And I think the 5th round is a fine price. I will say, if he starts bumping up to like the 3rd, the 4th, I'm going to have to ask a lot of questions. But I feel like this does 2 things. Yes, they're 2 risky picks, but I also believe they're 2 players that could easily finish top 12 at their position in Tutin and TreVeyon Henderson, right? Like if they hit this year, these are 2 guys that could absolutely finish top 12. I feel as if I can take that risk, considering I have such a nice anchor at Gibbs with that #1 overall pick. So I'm going to go ahead and make the pick there. There's a lot of running backs that you can take. But again, if I was a betting man, you have to think about where are the runs in my draft? How does my league draft? I know how my community drafts for the most part because I draft with them multiple times a week, right? And I just do not believe there's a scenario where I'm on the board in the 6th round at the 6-12, having to wait 24 picks and feeling good about the running back that's about to be available to me. So I'm going to go with Henderson and Tutin there on the turn.
Yeah, Zach, phenomenal pick. Phenomenal pick in my opinion. I'm really big on Bashul Tutin. I think he's going to have a massive year. Obviously, good to know that you now agree that Chris Rodriguez is a complete bum. I'm glad that we've come around on.
Not what I said. I will say though, I do think that him dealing with the injury and slowly being worked in is slightly a problem.
It's tough. Well, because he said in it, like that he expects to be back for week 1. Like that's terrifying, dude. Like you're gonna miss like. He's not expected to be practicing this week. He's expecting to be back for week 1. Yeah. So him missing a lot of camp, Tutin getting all these reps with the ones, being able to show what he can do. I do think, I was talking about this with Danny yesterday. I do think his like steam is going to be capped just from the perspective of like, it's really hard to see a guy who has like not crazy draft capital at all, right? 4th round pick and no NFL pedigree whatsoever get steamed up beyond the 4th round. Like that's just not something we see at all, right? Like Bashul Tutin is a complete projection. You're not betting on anything that has happened previously, like at all, besides his prospect profile, of course. But so I do think even if like he has a good camp and good things keep coming out, this does seem like where he'll end up is the 4 or 5 turn. And
I hope so. Like I'm in on this at this price. Like he's in this group with like, you know, Price, Monty, some other names that'll come off the board here. But I really need that ADP not to get much higher than this. Look, some people are asking like, hey, why did you take Henderson? Is Henderson not a risky pick? Sure, there are going to be players on the board where you have to assess risk. But there's also a risk in not hitting on a really talented player. Do you know what I mean? Like, you look at the New England Patriots, okay? Last year, top 5 rushing offense in the NFL, okay? Drake May becomes a superstar. Yes, it was an easy schedule. However, you add A.J. Brown to this team. Will there be more or less scoring opportunities for this team? Will they have to score the ball more or less this year with a harder schedule, right? Will they be down in games? Who's the best pass catcher on the team? TreVeyon Henderson. So yes, there is a risk to every pick that you make, but there's also a risk in playing scared too, all right? The people who played scared last year probably didn't draft Christian McCaffrey in the 1st round because they were worried about all these different things that they couldn't control. They probably didn't draft JSN because they were worried about Sam Darnold. So of course, to every pick that you make, there's going to be a risk and a reward, and you have to see how in you are on that risk for that potential reward. But let me just give you guys a little preview on the video that I mentioned. TreVeyon Henderson. I want you guys to think about this, okay? Since the year 2000, if you look at running backs drafted in the second round of the NFL draft, okay, 9 of them have played in the NFL. Jonathan Brooks hasn't played yet. 7 of those 9 running backs, all right, saw an increase in touches in their second year, okay? 7 of the 9 running backs, all right? And if you look at that group is Breece Hall, Ken Walker, James Cook, Javonte Williams, DeAndre Swift, Jonathan Taylor, Akers, Dobbins, Dillon. Now, A.J. Dillon saw a huge increase in his second year. J.K. Dobbins saw a huge increase, got injured. Akers saw a huge increase, got injured. But the guys who stayed healthy in their second year, go tell me what happened in the second year for Breece Hall. Go tell me what happened for James Cook. Go tell me what happened for DeAndre Swift. Go tell me what happened for Jonathan Taylor. So you are betting on a profile that historically, yeah, sure, there's risk, but historically, it's actually quite safe to assume that there will be more opportunities for TreVeyon Henderson in his second year. So I'm pretty comfortable taking that risk on him right there. After Tootin, Evans comes off the board. Jadarian Price, Monty, Jackson finally comes off the board. Tadarian is doing a very good job of just getting great values as the board falls. We got Terry McLaurin, Swift, Adams, and the fact that Warren is a 5th round pick makes me feel very good about getting my 3rd running back in the 5th round at the 501. Tyler Warren just went, and now Sammy, you're on the clock here at the 511.
I mean, this is a gift, Zach. There is a player on the board who I have ranked as a 4th round pick, and I'm picking at the 511.
Okay, hold on, let me guess. You have him ranked as a 4th round pick?
I have him ranked as he's my 46th overall.
I think I know who it is. It's a receiver.
It is a wide receiver.
And he plays for the Detroit Lions.
He absolutely does.
And his name is Jameson Williams.
Man. Dude, I mean, this guy in the second half of the season, after the bye week, once Dan Campbell took over play calling, said that they needed to get him more involved, was an absolute monster. And I just think he's so incredibly talented. And I really do believe, I'm not worried about the first half woes of last year. I think that they want to get the best players on this team the ball. That's what the offensive coordinator who took over from Ben Johnson failed to do in the first half of last season. They succeeded at that in the second half. I know Sam Laporta got injured, but Jameson Williams' usage was ticked up even before Laporta went down. Zach's got the jersey out, repping the boy. Yeah, I love this start. This nice. From the back of the board here. One thing that I also mentioned when I did my tier list of the draft slots was that this 5-6 turn ends up being like really flat to me. Not in this draft. Like yeah. I got a beautiful faller right into my lap, in my opinion, with JMO, and I'm super pumped with this start.
You know, that's an interesting conversation to have, because I feel as if the 2-3 turn feels a little flat at the 1 spot, and I agree with you. The back end of the board, as in like so many options, right? And I think like the back end of the board,
I like the options more, I think, is where I'm at there.
Yeah, the back end of the board, I think you're right. Like 5th, 6th round, it gets tough when you're at that back end of the board. Whereas like the beginning of the 5th is actually very enticing this year, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Like so I feel fantastic about Tootin. I love Burden who falls there. If Loveland falls there, I'm super in on that. I mean, Terry falling to the mid-5th here, I think that's phenomenal. I have him ranked at 40 overall. Lots of good running backs at the 4-5 turn as well, which like that tier ended before it got to me. Yeah. But also, Zach, now, so I mean, this is incredible. I absolutely love this. Not only do I get my 46th ranked player at the 511, now my 49th ranked player.
Okay, let me guess.
Just outside the 4th round, my 5-1 in my rankings is on the board here.
Is it a quarterback?
And it's not a quarterback, no.
Okay, if it's not a quarterback, I'm gonna guess Brian Thomas. No?
No, it's not Brian Thomas. Brian Thomas is, I have him at 56.
Is it a receiver?
It is a receiver.
Is it a rookie?
It is a rookie.
Carnell Tate.
We're going Homer with this one, baby. I mean, the fact, Zach, riddle me this. Why is Carnell Tate a 6th round pick in 2026 when Tedoroa McMillan was a 4th round pick in 2025?
I've been asking that to my audience for a long time.
It's the exact same thing. It's a really good prospect. This draft class was worse, but there are plenty of people that will tell you Carnell Tate was just as good of a wide receiver prospect as Tedoroa McMillan.
I 100% agree. Yeah, I love Tate.
And we have him falling into an offense where the wide receiver 1 role is completely up for the taking immediately, right? You have a play caller you believe in to an extent. It's not phenomenal, Dave Canales or Brian Daboll, but it's fine. And you have a quarterback who we don't really know what we have with him in terms of not only a skill perspective, but a passing volume perspective. Yeah. We don't really, nobody is crazy confident in Bryce Young. Nobody is crazy confident in Cam Ward at this point in time. And you're getting the 4th overall pick in the 6th round.
Yeah.
It feels like we're jumping the shark a little bit on these rookies this year.
Is jumping the shark a terminology?
Yeah.
Do people say jumping the shark? Am I hearing that for the first time?
We've jumped the shark?
Is that
you want to know where it's from?
Is that a terminology? Do people say jump the shark?
You've been out of the US for too long.
What does jump the shark mean?
So jump the shark basically means that you've gone too far with something to the point where now it's it's basically just that you've taken something too far. So how it started is with Shark Week.
I've heard jump the gun.
See, that's different.
Okay, so
with
no guns involved.
So I think it was, I don't know if it was Shark Week or no, it's a Happy Days episode where basically they were doing this crazy stuff, and eventually they actually jumped a shark, and then it became uncool. Can somebody explain better? It was from Fonzie. Fonzie jumped a shark.
Well, I'm not going to get the memo here, but
I've never seen the show.
Great.
But basically, it's, you've taken something too far. It's like, oh, rookie wide receivers aren't great. They don't produce very much. Now all of a sudden we're fading them way too far.
Oh my God. Logan, I love you to death, brother. But this is, there's a lot of reaches here, my dude. Please get you someone's cheat sheet. You don't even have to use mine, my friend. You don't have to use mine if you don't like it. The thing is, when you become a season pass member with Codeland, and actually, I know Logan is a member, so why aren't you using the cheat sheet, brother? Yeah, I know you're a member if you're in this draft. Look, if you're not going to use my cheat sheet, fair enough. When you become a season pass member, you've got so many different tools out there. You've even got the draft cheat sheets that you can use on the site, the overlay. There's so many different tools out there. I am begging you, my dude, before you get into a draft that's high stakes, please. Harvey, this is another guy. I'm not trying to roast you, but you've got to have some reliable rankings. You cannot be drafting based off ADP. Harvey is another name that is way up Sleeper ADP. Sleeper does a terrible job of updating their ADP. The earliest he has gone in any of our drafts this year is 72nd. What round is that, Sammy?
I think that's the very end of the 6th round.
Okay.
Maybe the 5th?
On average, though.
Maybe the 7th.
In our drafts, on average, he is the 805. Okay? It's just, I hope this is a learning lesson for everybody. Please do not raw dog your drafts. I'm begging you. Do not raw dog your drafts. You can like all these guys, by the way, right? But you want to get them at a price where it feels like you're building a really solid squad and you're not reaching. So please don't raw dog. I'm begging you. It doesn't work out in real life very often. There are certain, you have expectations now. If you raw dog, your life changes. I'm telling you, if you raw dog in your drafts, there could be some unexpected consequences.
Basically,
let's just say
what Zach is saying is that RJ Harvey is going to show up at your door with a baby, and you're going to have to figure it out.
The baby is RJ Harvey, and you're going to have to figure it out on a weekly basis.
So Zach, what I might have used the term a tiny bit wrong, but basically, here's what I have. Jump the shark is a famous idiom that describes when a TV show or a project loses its quality, core meaning, or realistic plot. It means that the work relies on It means that the work relies on wild, fake, or desperate stunts just to stay popular. And what happened is that Fonzie, this character in Happy Days, he went water skiing and he literally jumped over a real shark to try and keep the show relevant. And then because people were like losing interest, so he decided to do this crazy stunt, which like didn't fit with the rest of the show at all.
Okay.
And they're saying that's where it went downhill, and then hence came the term.
Wow.
So I'm saying that Tate at the 602 is so extreme.
Oh my gosh.
We've jumped the shark.
I am so excited right now, Sammy. Oh
yeah,
my
what are you
gosh,
getting?
this is
Cortland
awesome.
Sutton at the 610.
Look, I could totally take Drake May here and be very happy with it. However, I do not plan on taking a quarterback early in the Flock League, and that's what I'm prepping for.
I don't even know what you're excited about.
Well, look, I understand why people would feel that way, but the reports on this guy in the last couple of weeks have been so exciting to me.
I know who it is. I know.
And I am going to draft Makai Lemon here.
Oh.
I was super concerned that we were going to
awesome.
have a situation where Makai Lemon injures himself, right, in like rookie mini camp. And it's like, man, when is Lemon going to, get there on the field? The injury did not hold him back. I mean, every report out of camp today, every report in the last couple of days is Makai Lemon is a feature. He's a feature of this offense. And that's just so exciting to me, taking him here as my third wide receiver. That's my first rookie. Man, I just think there's immense upside with this roster across the board. Now I'm a little bit more concerned because there's no player I'm really obsessed with at this point. Could not justify drafting a running back here personally. Just couldn't do it. Drake May is a clear value if you look at my rankings. Let's look at Land League ADP. Again, still a very clear value. This is for me to draft a tight end here would go against my rankings. I don't like this dead zone tight end area. However, I do think there are two tight ends that might break that exception. You know what I mean? Very easily, I could see two guys doing that. Can't take the risk of a craft with having neighbors. So I am probably going to reach here a little bit. And
fellas, your king is scrambling in real time. He's got no idea what to do.
I'm
He's
totally
shaking.
confident in what I'm about to do. But this is what happens. This is why I say when you're drafting on the edges, I could justify quarterback here, tight end here. But when you're drafting on the edges, you might have to reach a little bit. I'm going to take Parker Washington. Look, I think that 9 times out of 10, Sammy, following camp reports is going to be harmful for you. 9 times out of 10. Following what's happening in camp.
But I agree with you. Yeah.
It's going to be harmful for the most part because everybody talks positively about all their players. However, the stuff with Parker Washington is almost overwhelming. Every day I wake up and there's a brand new hit piece in the most positive way possible that Parker Washington is literally God incarnate. You know, like I can't wake up any day and not see a new report about Parker Washington and how he's the hottest thing since sliced bread. You want to talk about jumping the shark and all these terminologies? How about that? All right. The best thing since sliced bread. It's overwhelming. It's overwhelming to the point where, yes, I could totally see this being a bad pick here in the 7th round. But man, like, what if Jacoby Myers was just a safety net? What if Parker Washington is out there in 2 wide receiver sets? I mean, I'm hearing him in interviews this week saying, yeah, Liam's told me to be available for every single formation. He's like 13 personnel, 12 personnel, 11 personnel. Liam said, you need to be ready because I'm going to use you. It's like,
yeah.
At first it was smoke, okay? And I'm sitting in my house. I smell smoke. Is the fire alarm on? What's going on? Oh, no. Someone just burned a toaster strudel, okay? However, I didn't pay attention to the smoke. And it's 30 minutes later and my entire house is on fire. I have to call the fire department. That is what's happening with Parker Washington right now. It is hard to ignore at some point. That's what I'm saying. It's hard to ignore. And in the 7th round, I'm willing to take that chance. And I would argue that when you look at my roster, if you see risk with neighbors at the 212, I think there's plenty of counter to that risk across the board. I rest my case. You can hate it, you can love it, but I know you're a big Brian Thomas guy. I just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't hear anything about Brian Thomas ever. I'm not hearing anything about him ever. And I know that doesn't mean he won't be a good player. But man, when you think about Liam Cohen's offense and how important the slot wide receiver has been historically, and how much love this guy is getting on a constant basis, haven't heard a single negative thing about him, how he's going to be utilized in the offense. I'm sorry, dude. At some point, I can only ignore it for so long. 7th round Parker Washington, I'm okay with this year. Not 6th, not 5th, if he gets bumped up, but 7th round Parker Washington, I'm okay with.
Yeah. I mean, it's been Parker Washington week since training camp opened. BTJ, we were hearing some good stuff just about how he was feeling better, talking about the injury and stuff and like OTAs.
Right.
But you're absolutely right. We haven't heard anything since camp opened. I'm much more on the side of like, I really don't want to listen. I want to try my best not to be swayed by anything about a player looking really good. But when guys look really bad in camp, that's when I listen more.
I agree with that in general.
Now, but you're completely right. Where it's been like over and over and over. It's like Jonathan Brooks, where
it's like
one report is one thing, or Bashal Tootin, where it's like nonstop. It's all you're hearing is this guy looks incredible. And I think that it's probably not a pick that I'm going to make in any of my redraft leagues, but I am like getting more and more worried about Brian Thomas just because, and he's not a guy that I'm like fully standing in redraft. I think like a long view talent bet for Dynasty is a completely different thing. But with that being said, like Parker's like, you're right with this. You're absolutely right with the slot role. If Brian Thomas is playing a lot of X, doing a lot of clear out type of stuff, like being better for the Jags as an offense than he is for fantasy, that doesn't mean Brian Thomas is bad. It doesn't mean Parker Washington is some, revelation as a wide receiver. The reality is that fantasy football is not necessarily always about who is the best player. Yeah. And I think if your mind is completely closed off to the fact that Parker Washington could be good for fantasy just because, what a Met prospect and didn't do anything through a few years.
I got your head under a pile of sand at this point.
You can't just put your head in the sand. I completely agree. So yeah, man, it's tough. It is tough to see just being. I've loved Brian Thomas all summer. I've been really in on him.
But I tell people this all the time on my Dynasty channel, like when we're looking at Dynasty rookie rankings. Often people will be upset about like what my rankings look like in December when rookie drafts happen in April. And I tell people like, look, what I want you to do is judge me when my rankings matter the most, right? So, for example, if you were a big Brian Thomas guy throughout the offseason, I get it. How many guys have done what he did as a rookie? It's ridiculous. He was injured last year. It's a very easy case to make. I think he's a super talented guy. But what the best people in the industry do, in my opinion, find a balance of having conviction, knowing why you're convicted, but also not being completely, having this inability to ever have your mind changed with new information. You know what I mean? I think that's important to do. Okay, after I take Parker Washington, we do have Dobbins, Drake May, Caleb Williams, Rachaad White, Pollard, Hubbard, Fannin off the board. I like the Fannin pick. Jonah is our commish for today. Shout out to Jonah. He said, Zach's not talking about my team, so I know he doesn't like it. Look, I like this pick. I am typically a tight end early guy or not at all. Fannin and Kraft are two guys that might break that mold this year for me. Appreciate all of y'all being here. By the way, over 700 people watching. Appreciate y'all hanging out. I've been using my cheat sheet a lot today. We're going to give away the cheat sheet. We're going to give away my draft guide. We're going to give away an access to the 2026 season pass. If you want to enter today's giveaway, all you have to do is like the stream. That's step one. Step two is to type the code word. And the code word for today is FIRST, because this is our first real managed fantasy football draft that we're doing for the 2026 season. Of course, if you want to use my cheat sheet, you want to get help in season, rankings, complete access, $34 when you use the code LAND. Check out the link in the pinned comment. I know it's our product, but I genuinely have no problem saying this and backing it against anything that's out there in the industry. It is the best deal in the industry. It really is. It's just unheard of to have something that's this price. That's not even just a draft prep kit. but is like a season long, okay, type of kit. So after Fannin, we had Kraft go, then Jalen Hurts, who Hurts at the 7-10 is just insanity. You're on the clock here, Sammy. 4 receivers, 2 running backs.
I was hoping Hurts would fall there, and then I'd be able to push him around the turn. Matt, of course, makes a really good pick. I think that's a really, really good value on him. I mean, there's a clear guy at the bottom of a tier for me, hasn't been selected yet. I'm very happy that he falls here because I think it gets very flat after this point. So I'm gonna take Ramondre Stevenson at the 7-11.
Yeah.
You know, I think that Travion is a great pick at the 4 or 5 turn. I also think Ramondre at the back of the 7th, given that he is currently the starter, is also a good pick to make.
What did Danny say? He said, "Eat your vegetables" type pick, right? That's what
he is kind of an eat your vegetables. Yeah. I do think that eat your vegetables sort of implies like low risk, which I don't necessarily agree with Ramondre, because I do think that Henderson is good enough of a talent to really take over.
There's totally a scenario here where Henderson is not startable, right? Because of where Stevenson is not startable.
Yeah.
Because of a Henderson breakup. That's what you're saying.
The role just isn't. The role might not be big enough.
Best case scenario is David Montgomery. That's what we're drafting 100%. Here, right?
Exactly. And I think that there is a scenario where the role isn't big enough for Ramondre to win off of volume, and he's just never been a super efficient guy. So
yeah.
But at the end of the 7th round, that's all baked in. And like you said, we were drafting David Montgomery at like the 4 or 5, or was it like in the 6th round for a long time with Gibbs there. So I think this offense is good enough that both of these guys can be productive.
Yep. We get Brooks off the board at the 7-12. Now the same round as Chuba Hubbard.
Yeah.
Which is not a surprise there. How do you feel about your team through 7 rounds here?
I do feel really good. I think that I didn't get stuck reaching at the top of a tier at all.
Yeah.
That's the worst, that Waddle pick was tough because it was him, Egbuka, Flowers, and Loveland.
Yeah.
There's a difference between not being able to decide between 4 guys you love and having to take the first guy at the top of a tier that you're like meh about. You know what I mean? So that pick was a little difficult, but I'm very happy with Jalen Waddle, of course. And then like J-Mo and Tate. Really, really happy with those guys, and Ramondre being the last guy in a tier. Jonathan Brooks, I would have considered him at the 802, 100%.
Yeah.
I think, with my running back room, really solid, safe at the top. Ramondre is the RB3. Brooks is an upside shot, I think would make a ton of sense. However, I'm not going to be able to make that pick now, and then now I am going to be reaching
Sammy,
into a big tier of guys.
Can we have a conversation about Fannin and Kraft? Because I know you're on the clock, but I feel as if a lot of you guys know my tight end strategy this year, right? A lot of you guys know that by now. In fact, let me show you the draft guide. All the information, all the research, all the data that's a part of my strategy video this year is in the draft guide, by the way, guys. So if you become a season pass member, not only are you going to get the cheat sheet, but you get the entire draft guide. You click here, okay? You open the link, and then you just log in with your Flock credentials, and you'll see the entire draft guide, which is where the cheat sheet also lives. It's all in one, okay? Very cool that we were able to do this year. So you got player takes, projections, vacated targets, tool research, the cheat sheet here, but then the strategy. And when you look at tight ends, typically the value is a barbell, right? Where it's heavy early, or you don't really want to be in that middle round. I think the best bit of research to show that is probably where we value the waiver wire versus where players are drafted and the point per game outcome, which is what you'll see here. So for example, in the last 3 years, the tight end 5 off the board was basically equivalent to what you got off the waiver wire. So it was almost always a wasted pick, Sammy. Almost always, if you make that pick, you're going to regret it. If you look at the last 7 years, a little bit better, but still tight end 7 is basically, and still the difference is 11 to 10.6 points per game, right? Yeah. So I find it really hard, especially when every year we're seeing guys late in drafts pay off. For example, last year in ADP, we had Kyle Pitts, Jake Ferguson, Dallas Goedert, Harold Fannin, Juwan Johnson. These were all guys that finished top 10 and they were basically free in your drafts. I feel like that research makes it so hard for me to swing. Oh, okay, you go Pitts there, so this will be a fun conversation.
Yeah.
It makes it so hard for me to swing on the fan and craft Pitts because historically, all the information we have tells you it's not a good pick. But you can totally see a scenario here where they pay off big time. And history and data isn't meant to tell you that you can't do something. It's meant to tell you the risk you're willing to take on, right? Like, know what you're up against. Where's the line for you with these guys? Obviously, it's the 8th round is what it looks like.
Well, no, it's a really good conversation. I do have a few what I think are pertinent points about this year specifically. I want to quickly I'm pulling up the Flock League draft from last year on my phone. Because the tight ends going in this range last year were in this like 8th round. We had TJ Hawkinson as an 8th round pick, right?
Yeah.
We had Mark Andrews in the 9th, Travis Kelce in the 9th.
And no one, by the way, to preface this, no one thought those were terrible picks at the time.
Right? Correct. Completely correct. Evan Ingram was a 9th round pick last year. So what I think is that I think that we need to be conscious to not completely pattern match a trend at a position without, and you're not doing this at all, but while looking at that data and then completely ignoring the actual players that we're thinking about in those situations. Because the 3 tight ends that just went, they're all young. They are all upside shots, in my opinion, bets on talent, not just like situation like an Evan Ingram where it was like, oh, he's going to be the Joker in Sean Payton's offense, right? And for me specifically with this pick, I have 3 running backs, 2 of which are hammers, or if my team works out, they will be. And then this is a 2 wide receiver, 2 flex. If I take, my favorite wide receiver at the 802 here, Michael Pittman, who just went off the board, would have been my pick. The chance that he hits my lineup is like, Carnell Tate would have to, start slow. I have 4 wide receivers through 6 rounds that I really believe in. I'm drafting a bench player versus what I think is an upside shot on Kyle Pitts, who I do believe in. So I think that we could end up looking back and going, hey, look, man, you needed Bowers, McBride, Loveland, or you should have punted and grabbed Chigakonkwo, right? I completely agree that is an outcome we could see. I do think these 3 profiles specifically where Kraft I'm less on, but as the injury news looks more and more bullish, I'm warming to that. I just think that in a situation where I'm filling a starting lineup spot, I'm not just adding a wide receiver to my bench. I do feel comfortable with it here.
It's such a good conversation, for sure, and it's always fun to get into these drafts and just kind of see how the board plays. There is so many different minds and thoughts that the best thing you can really do is get into drafts. And I guess I forgot to say this on the stream, but a lot of you guys I saw comments saying like, how do I get into a draft like this? Guys, if you want to get into a draft, I'm doing at least 2 drafts per week. In fact, right now, if you were to go to landleagues.com, which I'll put a link in the chat for you, you can see every draft we have coming up. I went ahead over this weekend and took the time to put every draft. You'll see the draft date and time. You'll see when the drawing closes. Some of these drafts, like, for example, the N'Keal Harry draft, the Vince Young draft, I'll be in Austin for these. The Trent Richardson draft, like all 3 of those, I'll be in Austin. Sammy's probably going to be right beside me on a couch when we draft in some of these leagues. So definitely, if you want to get in, go to landleagues.com. You can enter as many drawings as you want if you are a land member. All right, that's obviously, these are like something that I do to give back to my community. If you're a land member with the season pass or an annual Mother Flocker member, then you can get in these drawings, have a chance to be in these leagues. So yeah, you can check out the link in the pinned comment. That's one of the many perks. Again, have to be a Code Land member with the season pass. Just $34. I mean, it's just a ridiculous deal. I have to say, go ahead, Sammy. Or
one quick more thing on the tight end. I think that the reason why the data shows that these tight ends 5 through whatever, why they've performed so poorly, is because you get to that range of the draft and people are trying to fill out their starting lineup.
Yeah.
Right. My situation here, like I said, I don't want to take a bench wide receiver. I think in the past, people have forced the next best tight end into their, 8th or 9th round pick just because they need a tight end. And I think that's where we differentiate from the fact that, like, I actually think Kyle Pitts is as good of a pick as Michael Pittman.
Okay.
And he happens to be at a position that I need to fill as opposed to throwing a wide receiver on my bench. And so it's a tiebreaker more than it is just needing to fill the roster out.
I'm at an interesting place on the board right now. The fact that Alec Pierce made it to the 809, I got to be honest, I think that's just, like, wholeheartedly, I think that's absolutely ridiculous. I really do. I think that is absolutely ridiculous for him to fall to the 809. I won't say anymore. But I'm on the clock here. Yeah, we've got plenty of options. I'm going to go to the wide receiver position. There's 4 guys here that I could justify taking. Godwin, I think, is a safe pick. I don't think I need a safe pick here with this receiver room. I am going to take Quentin Johnston.
This is a fall for QJ, man. He goes like early 7th most of the time.
I'm gonna take the dip there. And man, I'll tell you what. There is a tight end who's making this hard on me. I don't feel I need to go quarterback yet. Kyle Monangai is very intriguing. In fact, if I don't go Kyle Monangai, I have no idea what my running back 4 is going to be on this roster. What's his injury? Is it anything serious?
They haven't said what it is. It's just they don't have injury reports, right? So it's just that he hasn't been at the first few days of camp. There's nothing beyond that.
Okay. Look, I again, when you're drafting on the edges, you have to make certain decisions. This is a decision I think I have to make for this roster. I'll take Kyle Monangai here. I am not confident at what the RB 4 will be.
Could be nothing.
However, when I look at a Kyle Monangai, and you look at the history of Ben Johnson as a play caller, this is not just me being safe and getting a 4th running back, by the way. Like, I could see how it would come off that way by what I'm saying, but I think Monangai absolutely could be the next, David Montgomery.
This could be David Montgomery, literally.
This could be cheaper Ramondre Stevenson, cheaper David Montgomery, right? Like, if you look 100%. At it that way. When he has been given the opportunity to start, he's been fantastic. He's been absolutely awesome.
The difference is he's the backup versus like Ramondre is,
Right. You 100% know he's the backup. But I also could see a scenario in which Ramondre, like, he keeps getting more and more work from DeAndre Swift. If you look at Kyle Monangai, I want you guys to contextualize this for a second. Kyle Monangai was obviously a rookie in 2025. But it's not like he was just a rookie. Like, oh, yeah, well, Henderson was a rookie. Henderson was a 2nd-round pick. Judkins was a rookie. Judkins was a 2nd-round pick, okay? After the bye week in week 5, let's say weeks 1 to 6, Kyle Monangai starts getting a significant role from week 7 onwards. From week 7 onwards, Kyle Monangai, almost 11 points per game. I mean, his rushing attempts go from 4.4 to 12.3, a clear indicator that they have a plan to use this guy. Wasn't very involved with the air, but you're telling me that a 7th-round rookie was impressive enough in week 7 in one of the better offenses we saw last year to demand basically 15 touches almost.
Well, in Zach,
from week 7 onwards, it's just almost ridiculous.
He gets 3/4 of a carry inside the 5 per game.
Right, and he's got that role inside the 5.
He's getting the goal line work. He's a bruiser bowling ball in at the goal line there, and I think that he could score like 12 touchdowns.
Yep. So I can see how it could come off safe based on what I said, but I don't think this is just me being super safe here. I think this is just a good pick objectively on the board.
I agree. Yeah. You want to make the best picks, position adjacent a lot of the time, as much as you can, and and he has the contingent value at the wazoo, right? Like, is there a more valuable handcuff? Maybe Blake Corum.
Yeah, it's funny because I want to say Corum's probably, that's got to be the number one handcuff, right?
Yeah, you'd think that Monangai has never really shown anything as a receiver, so you'd wonder what they would do if Swift went down. I think Corum just gets that whole backfield if Kyren goes down.
I don't even think like a Brian Robinson or a Pacheco are better true handcuffs.
No,
like
they're just not as good.
They're not as good, yeah. So you could be right there. I mean, Gainwell, I got to be honest, like if Bucky went down, Gainwell probably ranks higher for me than
But Sean Tucker's there. Like, I don't think Gainwell's going to get
you might be right
between the tackle stuff.
Tank Bigsby's a good shout from Randy in the chat.
Tank Bigsby, and he as a cheap guy, I preferred Bigsby over Pacheco and Brian Robinson.
Right.
Yeah.
That at that point in the draft,
I think he's actually good.
On any of them. Okay, after I took Monangai, we had Goddard off the board.
Dallas Goedert, wow.
Godwin. See, here's the thing. I feel like Kraft, we talked about tight ends a little bit earlier, but Pitts, Kraft, Fannin, all super young. If you're going to have a dead zone tight end, they have a chance to break that mold. Goddard's a little bit up there in age. He might more fit that mold of a potential dead zone tight end. And a lot of regression could be on the way for those touchdowns he had.
I tend to agree with you there.
Big run of receivers here. Godwin, Wandale. Wandale's such a safe pick. Dobbs. Downs is a fun one. Reed. JCM in the 9th. I am starting to become a big JCM guy the further Rachaad White's ADP gets pushed up. So I like that pick. Sammy, you're on the clock here soon. You've got your tight end.
Yeah, I mean, I have a decision to be made here. With a certain quarterback position. Jonah passes. Jonah and yourself are the only other managers on the board without a quarterback. Now, this is something to really consider in a managed league compared to the best balls that we've been doing.
Totally.
Right?
In the best ball draft, we probably were about to see 12 running backs come off the board in the next 2 rounds, but it makes no sense for you to do that in a managed one quarterback league.
Well, but that's the thing. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense for these guys who have taken quarterbacks in the first 8 or 9 rounds to take QB2s. However, I don't know how this draft is going to unfold. I really don't know how these guys are going to behave. There is a quarterback that I am really just learning that I'm way higher than consensus on. It probably is also the fact that, you want to punt Jonah, who, watches all of your content and is very sharp as well, likes the punt quarterback strategy. Yeah. So, and everybody else just has one and has preferred the other guys ahead of him. But the guy that's left here coming to me at the 9-11 is just so enticing for me. But then I scroll down the board and I'm like, do I really like him that much more than this next tier? And I don't know if I do. And so I'm grappling with what to do with this pick, whether to go quarterback at this turn or not. We'll see what I decide. By the way, I just saw this in the chat. I love from Juice and Pop Show. Henderson over Tootin is wild. How dare you, Zach? How could you do this?
Where is that? I'm trying to find it. Oh, Henderson over Tootin is wild. Yeah. I had to flip flop them. That's the one error.
Okay, I am on the clock.
Yep.
I am on the clock. This is a running back that I am becoming more and more enthralled with as we continue to go through the offseason. A guy who I think he's in maybe a bit of an ambiguous backfield, but he's the younger guy. He's the one who hasn't been significantly injured over the past few seasons or had the nagging stuff over the past few seasons on an offense that I think should be a lot better than it was last year.
Yeah.
And I'm really happy to get Jordan Mason here as my RB4.
I like that pick a lot. Some of you guys will remember I was a Jordan Mason guy last offseason. A lot of you guys probably drafted him because of me. Transparently, I did not project the Vikings offense to be that bad. And it was a very simple thesis. We had seen so many backup quarterbacks and really average quarterbacks and guys who have never been good go to Kevin O'Connell's system and be great. Like Kevin O'Connell, the quarterback whisperer. We did not know how bad J.J. McCarthy truly was. And if you look at when Kevin O'Connell joined the Vikings, it was 2022. This year, by far, it's not even close. Their worst year from an efficiency perspective, the scoring rate, the touchdowns per game, passing yards per game, total yards per game. I did a fun stat on Jordan Mason, Sammy. I don't know if I've told you this or if anybody's watched this or not, but let's do a fun little stat here, okay? Who was the Vikings leader in rushing attempts inside the 5-yard line last year? Who was their leader?
Well, Zach, I know how many rushing attempts they had inside the 5 total.
Okay. Well, it was Jordan Mason. But let me tell you.
Yeah.
Jordan Mason had less rushing attempts inside the 5-yard line last year while he led the Vikings in that category than Sean Tucker. Less than Rachaad White. Those are 2 guys from the same team, by the way.
Dude, do you know how
less
many
than
they had
Woody
total,
Marks,
the Vikings?
Chris Rodriguez, Tyler Algier, Kenny Gainwell, Devin Singletary. What if we extend that, Sammy, to attempts inside the 10-yard line? Jordan Mason had less than Tony Pollard. Zonovan Knight. That's right. Ollie Gordon. Kamani Vidal. Ty Johnson. This is not fake. This is real. I'm telling you facts.
Zach,
Tyler Shuck, Dak Prescott, Daniel Jones. I feel like if you're, Sammy, if you're bouncing, if you're like, hey, the Vikings are going to bounce back, Mason's a no-brainer pick. He really is.
Yeah, I mean, Zach, I think they had 6 rush attempts inside the 5 total as a team. 6.
Insane.
The entire season. Like, nobody's scoring touchdowns in that offense, right?
It was truly wild.
Yeah. I think Mason is a phenomenal pick there at the end of the 9th. And then I'm going to go with a wide receiver here. I am going to punt quarterback. We're going to see how it goes. I'm going to take Travis Hunter here, man. I'm really excited about him. You know, it's free upside at this point in the 10th round. Another player who I coined as free upside 4 days ago on this very channel, Xavier Worthy.
I was going to say, I'm kind of surprised Xavier Worthy was not the pick there.
Well, the shoulder injury.
He could be the next Deshaun Jackson. 15 plus points per game.
So I do have Xavier Worthy ranked ahead of Travis Hunter, same tier. Just the shoulder injury, us not having clarity about that just yet, makes me.
I have to be honest. I am shocked that the guy who's 160 pounds got injured again.
Leave him alone, man.
Really good prospect. It's shocking. No, I'm not an Xavier Worthy hater. He has no space in my mind, and that could be bad.
You're not a hater. You just hate him.
I'm not a hater. I just hate because I don't care.
You hate him and don't think about him.
By the way, that's a callback from a different conversation for all of our new viewers today. I'm really indifferent on Worthy this year. Don't have a strong opinion. But Sammy just last week said that 10th round Xavier Worthy was one of the best picks of the draft, and then decided to pass on him today. I don't want to dive into the conversation too much, but I'm just saying. I'm just saying.
You can't, we don't. I don't want to dive into it either. But you are twisting this a ton. You
okay,
say you're indifferent.
I want to be fair.
You have him ranked.
How did I twist it?
You have him ranked 20 spots. You have him ranked 20 spots behind the average.
Okay.
So you're not indifferent on him.
Okay, so am I lower on him then? That's my bad.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're lower on him. I'm higher on him.
By the way, Crypto asked what team, and I'm drafting from the 1 spot. Okay. And Sammy is drafting from the 11 spot. Sorry, the 11 spot here. So we're putting together teams that we like, and there goes Xavier Worthy. So there, and that might be the best pick of the draft.
You know, I do think it's a very good pick. I hope we hear good things. In camp, they're always like caution. You know, everybody's very cautious. Everybody's getting carted off for everything. The fact that it's like the same shoulder that he tore the labrum on.
Who got carted off 1 year to go poop? Who was that? There was one player who
did that in a game. I don't remember who it was in camp, though.
I can't remember. There was one guy in camp and he got carted. Everyone's like, "Oh my gosh!" He was like, "Guys, I just had to poop." Was it DK Metcalf? Actually, I think it might have been DK Metcalf. Someone said Paul Pierce.
That's funny.
All right, so we have Charbonnet in the 10th, which I got to be honest, I like Matt Bear's draft. I don't know, man. Do
we have an IR slot in this league?
We do.
By the way, I saw an interesting choice. We're going no defenses here.
I've never done defense in the follower leagues, like the managed ones. Never done defense or kicker, but we can add them into a couple if you guys want.
I think defense is fun. Defense, I feel like that simulates a home
more
league.
Waiver wire.
It is extra. It is
You're going to be doing a lot of roster management this year. Are you sure?
Yeah, you got a kick out of that,
eh? Yeah. Yes. So Trenton says, "Hey, will you get 6 points on underdog or sleeper if Hunter picks 6? If he gets a pick 6, he'll get 6 points. Yeah.
Depends on the.
Well, you won't get points for like defensive plays, but if he scores a touchdown, he will get 6 points.
Well, it depends, because if your league
has it set that way,
special teams, I think it would be like the special teams touchdown is what that would be called.
Right.
I know some leagues like in Dynasty that's a thing. Sam Laporta. I mean, I'm not a big Sam Laporta guy.
I thought I was about to draft him at the 10-12 because transparently,
taken him.
Again, no disrespect to you, Mingo. Look, maybe this is the right pick. There's no way I'm taking another tight end if I draft Brock Bowers. I'm sorry. I know Sam Laporta is there. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe it's a fair pick. But I was just looking at the board and thinking, like, maybe I'm about to get Sam Laporta at the 10-12. Obviously, that doesn't happen, but...
Yeah, I think that... I mean,
let's say it this way.
There are situations where I would do it if the fall was so phenomenal, and I thought, like... Not only can you use in the 10th round, like who knows, you can make some trades after the draft, whatever it is. Also, like Laporta could be a flex for you at some point.
At the same time, though, like Laporta is going to have a good start of the year for you to trade him because the entire league just let him fall to the 10th round. Do you know what I mean?
That's true.
It's not like the league is like desperately like, can I trade for Sam Laporta?
Also,
no, they all just let him fall.
Zach, if you think straight up that Sam Laporta is a better projection PPR
than some of the receivers,
than Matthew Golden, let's say,
totally
who's on the board at wide receiver, who would also go right to your bench, then I think at this point, I agree with like bully tight end. I would never do. Like I would never take Bowers and Warren, or Bowers and Loveland or whatever. I don't think it's as egregious in the.
I think it's fair. It's not as egregious. It was a good value. He was falling pretty far, so I'm not going to be too harsh on the pick.
You're just mad that you didn't get
100%.
him. We can be honest.
100%. I was like, man, I'm about to get Laporta in the 10th. That didn't work out. That's okay. All right, Woody Marks getting a lot of reports that he's going to play a role. He's going to have an important role. I have always said that I think he's going to be their 2-minute drill guy. He's going to be there on passing downs. I still would stand by that. That's what he was incredible at USC coming out of college.
And they didn't use him like that last year because he was like taking the brunt of the early down stuff. And then they had Daria Gumbawale, who was doing a lot of the 2-minute drill or down stuff. But I think that
how could we possibly not use Woody Marks the way that he's designed to be used? And then they went with that game plan. It's like, okay, sick, nice.
Well, but also like he is probably like he was better than Nick Chubb last year.
100%.
You know? So it's like I don't fully blame them in the sense of like you need to put your best first and second down guy out there, and then but this year with David Montgomery, like Woody Marks should be a lot more comfortable, and I think he'll be able to showcase a lot more what he's actually good at, as opposed to being forced into this role that he isn't really built for.
I agree with that. Man, there are still so many quarterbacks I love. I
mean, dude, yeah,
don't know if I'm gonna.
I'm feeling wonderful with the punt right now.
Yeah.
This is, like I said, this is Zach and I's very first real managed league. And we've talked about the quarterback punt, and like I would have taken Jalen Hurts at the 802, and I would have felt like shit about it right now.
Yep.
Genuinely. Because
even though it was a fine pick.
Even though it was a great pick, like Jalen Hurts at the 710 is such a good value. But I think if I was looking at the board right now, what's going to come back to me, and looking at the 2v2s of the 7-11 and what I'm about to get at the end of the 11th round, unless there's a huge run on QB2s here, which I think if the league, if everybody, I'm not trying to influence the draft, but if you sabotage your own draft by taking a QB2,
that's fine.
That's fine. Just to take it ahead of, Jonah, myself, whatever. Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, I am tempted to go the rookie here, De'Zhaun Stribling. I'm tempted to take him here.
Yeah, I mean, we can talk. I think the other guy that's interesting in a conversation there hasn't been drafted yet.
Yeah, Debo's interesting. He's also in this tier for me.
It's funny because that was Wednesday, right? It's like that was the day of the Pearsall to IR news, or Pearsall is going to probably miss the season news. I took De'Zhaun Stribling as like my last pick, made a big deal about it, and then Debo signed the next day.
Yeah, which I don't know.
14th round, whatever. But
Debo's got some comfortability there. I feel like Stribling is still like, if you're going to make a pick in the 10th round, 11th round, you know what I mean? I feel like Stribling is still that guy, though.
I think he's still that guy from a best ball perspective, but in a managed league, like it just makes me really bearish on the early season stuff.
Right.
I could be wrong on that, but I think like, week 1, are they going to be, peppering this rookie, or are they going to go with a guy who has played, multiple seasons under Kyle Shanahan?
I get it. Lots of picks I can make here.
Zach is just saying onesies are dead. You don't need him. He's drafting his wide receiver 6 before his first quarterback or tight end.
I just don't feel a need to address either position right now. And if other people hit the position on purpose to try and hurt me, I think they're going to hurt their own team. So that's fine either way. I have been someone who has said that I believe Kamara is going to have a bigger role than people are comfortable acknowledging. Don't feel a need, though, to go there. Man, I got to be honest. I am at the part of the board where, while I don't need a quarterback, I really think I'm just going to take, like, my preference, because there's not another player that I'm, like, obsessed with. Now, Purdy is my top-ranked quarterback, but I'm going to naturally get the stack with Jackson Dart here.
I was going to say, dude, I was like, that's got to be Jackson Dart, the 1101, man. That's like getting to stack up your wide receiver 1. That's such a good value, in my opinion, for Dart.
Yeah. Be happy to take him here as my quarterback 1. Last year was like week, I think, 7 or week 4 onwards, was averaging like 20 points per game. No Malik Neighbors the entire time. And we've heard... I know that he's not going to have a huge part to play in the offense, but we've heard Harbaugh talk about how, he wants to use Dart the way that they use Lamar in Baltimore. He's not got a huge part to play with that. They're not the same player, but I like to hear that from the sense of like the rushing appeal should still be present. You know what I mean?
Because that's what everybody's scared of. Everybody's scared of, all the talk that they're going to protect him and not run him as much because he can't protect himself. And it's like... They're going to do what's best for the team, man, and they're going to teach Jackson Dart, like, you need to be better at this. You need to be better at protecting yourself so that we can win games and keep you in the game for as long as possible. We can't be doing bi-weekly blue tent concussion checks.
100%. So I'm going to take Jackson Dart there. Pretty comfortable with him being my quarterback 1, and honestly very comfortable with the waiver wire if I needed to hit up the waiver wire in a 1-quarterback managed league like this.
And Zach, the latest comment here from the teacher explains, saying no need to stack in redraft. This is true.
Yeah. No.
It's not as pertinent, but it's fun, first of all.
Yep.
The data actually does show that it is beneficial. Like, it does raise your ceiling on a weekly basis. I think especially with Dart, Neighbors doesn't need to have a big game for Dart to also have a big game.
Yeah.
I think, like, if you're looking at like a Stafford Puka or a Amon-Ra Goff, maybe like a Dak, CD Lamb, those type of guys, it seems more like 1-to-1, whereas like Dart with the rushing upside, he can be independently good. And when you're in the same tier, like you said, Purdy's your best available, I would have done the exact same thing as you did. I think
sell me either way there.
Fun.
Yeah.
Fantasy is supposed to be fun, and it is so fun watching your fantasy quarterback throw a touchdown to your fantasy wide receiver, tight end, whatever it is. So
unless they're
always
on the New York Giants, and then you shouldn't expect that to happen.
Well, if they're not going to score many touchdowns, that's a different story. But
Jonah says I wanted to stack Dart and Scat, so I'm imagining Dart would have gone off the board. Is that right, Jonah? At the 1108.
Well,
or the 1205.
Jonah's got a really fun stack option with his wide receiver 1 here, anyways. So
that's true. And see, like those names, even now that I take Dart at the 101, I feel so good about it. But I'm also like, man, I just know I'm going to be annoyed about it by the time my next picks come around. I just know I'm going to be annoyed about it.
Yeah, but even then, like I feel like the risk that people start taking QB2s is too great in the 12th round to keep punting. Like I would have done the same thing you did.
At AJ Pierce says Ryan Heath over at Fantasy Points dropped an amazing chart about percentages of league winners and what round they are drafted in. Wide receiver late rounds have never produced a league winner.
I'm curious on it's got to be more specific than that, because that's just definitely not true. Yeah. There's never been a league winner from wide receiver in the late rounds. I can think of like several off the top of my head immediately. Okay, so Brock Purdy just goes to the Jaden Daniels team.
It's true in the sense of like the vast majority of wide receiver 1s are drafted like in round 1 by a mile, or round 1 or round 2. Like, I 100% agree with it, but it's not really surprising, guys, that you don't often get league winners in rounds 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. It's natural that the percentages of league winners are going to drop each and every single year. You know what I mean? Or every round, sorry.
Okay, Jonah continuing to punt it. Jonah is not scared of the QB2s. Like I said, Brock Purdy goes to the Jaden Daniels team.
I gotta be honest though. I don't look. I know these are good values, but I really don't like this strategy from Yasmingo. I don't, because how many bench spots do we have? 5?
6 maybe?
Is it 5 or 6? You're gonna have like what, 30% of your bench taken up by a quarterback tight end. I hate that from a flexibility perspective. You're gonna feel a need to hold on to these quarterbacks and tight ends that you're not gonna start, and you might be making the wrong decision on a weekly basis at some of the quarterbacks. I get it. Like, I'm not like, Purdy's a fantastic pick in the 11th round, but do you understand what I'm saying? Like, I feel as if from a roster flexibility perspective, you're not going to like that. And people say, Money says he can always trade them. Guys, if people are allowing players to fall to the 11th round, they're not going to trade for them in a 1 quarterback league when they already let them fall to the 11th round. You know, like, so what? He's going to wait 5 weeks for someone to believe that Purdy is too valuable to not be traded for, and then get in a 1 quarterback league. You have all that time where you're missing out on the waiver wire flexibility. You're going to have to make really hard decisions.
Look at the quarterbacks that are still available. Like, look, there could be a situation where Purdy's all of a sudden like a top 5 quarterback through 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden he is desirable. But
even then, the return you should expect on a trade in a 1 quarterback league for a quarterback is so monumentally low. It's just not a good strategy.
Zach, it goes back to what you I remember the trade that you made with Danny for Puka Nacua.
Right.
Where you ended up getting Jaden Daniels and Drake London.
Yep.
And at the time, Jaden Daniels is still seen as an elite option, right? And you basically said, like, yeah, like, Daniels is good, but I don't see him as this massive upgrade over what I have on my roster, plus what I can stream off the waiver wire. And so even though these guys are really good,
it was the wrong move. Yeah.
So Dak goes to Matt Bear. So I completely avoided being sniped here because, dude, I mean, Trevor Lawrence, a massive on T-Law. He's my quarterback 8.
No, it's a great pick.
I'm over the moon getting him here in the 11th round.
It's a great pick. Look, if you guys want to take 2 quarterbacks like this, all the more power to you. It makes a lot more sense, in my opinion, for you to do that at tight end than at quarterback. I'm sorry.
You can actually play 2 of them.
That and tight ends, there's very few that matter. So if you hit on one late that matters, that's the strategy I can get behind, right? But, I mean, guys, I can't think of a year where I haven't been able to go to the waiver wire and find multiple great options at quarterback if my guy goes down with an injury. Guys, I picked up Matthew Stafford off the waiver wire last year in the Flock League.
Yeah.
I mean, this happens every single year. It's just, I don't think it's smart. You're going to make, in week 2, when everyone's talking about all the fun waiver wire pickups, you're going to say, oh man, well, I got Purdy there though. I don't want to drop him. And well, now I just don't think it's a good idea. I don't. And look, like Matt takes Dak in the 11th. That's a great value, but
he has CD as well, so he gets the stack. But then it's like, okay, well, like I would have rather just not taken Hurts then.
Right. Totally. These people who are taking quarterbacks, their second quarterbacks in the 11th, are probably regretting taking their first quarterback early, even though when they got them early, it was a great value. So look, of course, it is not a one-size-fits-all, these conversations that we're having, but in my opinion, doubling up on tight end if someone falls super late like Laporta did, I can get behind that. Doubling up on quarterback, I don't think there's any reason that you can justify that making sense.
Yeah, I think that when you look at the players that like you're taking them instead of, it's hard to be like, oh, this is a really bad pick.
Yeah,
but
totally.
just from like, getting as many shots as you can at running
Nobody
back
thought Rico Dowdle was a good pick last year. And then the guys who just took him on their roster found a starter. Look, teacher says Sammy is going to hit up Usmingo or Matt Bear when Lawrence get hurts or busts. You know what Sammy will do if that happens? He'll hit up the waiver wire, brother. He's not going to give up anything valuable for a quarterback. Also, maybe
like
in inexperienced
leagues. Injury-prone comment? Like, is Trevor Lawrence injury-prone?
No, he's just saying, like, that's how this value is going to pay off. That makes sense if you're in a league with someone who doesn't know anything about fantasy football and you can take advantage of them. But
I'll pick up Jacoby Brissett, I think, is what I'll do.
Right? It's like, I just don't think that's realistic unless you're in a league
value over
where
replacement.
There's some
like if you guys, the value over replacement is just not very much at all. Like, it's really not. Like, at quarterback, it's easy to stream matchups. Like, just freaking pick the guy playing the Cardinals every week.
Yep.
Like,
or Malik Willis off the waiver wire, or Tyler Shuck, or some leagues Baker Mayfield will be a waiver wire pick, or Jordan Love. It's like you said, Jacoby Brissett. It's just not a good strategy.
Cam Ward might have a good week 1 against the Jets. Like, there's always another option instead of paying up at the skill positions for a.
I'm less bothered by it if you do it with like your last pick. You know what I mean?
100%.
But like Jonah Coleman sitting on the board,
Yeah.
Like some of these handcuffs, I just can't get on board with it. So, but it's a good thing we all don't have the same opinions. We all don't think the same way, because that's what makes the game fun. Appreciate everybody being here. I'm going to do a giveaway tonight for a season pass membership with the code LAND. If you haven't entered yet, step 1 is to simply like today's stream. So that's the first step. Step 2 is to type our code word, which for tonight, our code word is FIRST. And that's because this is our first managed league draft we're doing with my land community. Shout out to all the community members. Shout out to everybody who's become a member on the site. If you're already a member, you can still enter the giveaway. If you win, I'll give you some vouchers instead for some live streams. But one other thing I want to mention, if you want to get into these drafts, if you think we're stupid and these guys are idiots, let me take their money. Or maybe you just want to enjoy drafting with the land community. You can go to landleagues.com if you're a land member on the Flock site and enter as many of these drawings as you want to. As many as your heart desires. And then we will do the drawings a day before the draft. You can see the draft day for all of them. These are Australian time, so make sure you look at it on your site, because it'll show the right times in America. But yeah, you can enter as many of these drawings as you want. And we'll be getting into some drafts together, hopefully.
Is the Vince Young League the first one that's going to be in Austin for you?
I will be in Austin on the 6th. So the first one will be the N'Keal Harry League.
Okay.
Yeah. We'll stream that from my mobile setup. Then the Vince Young, I don't want to say like the Hype House, but like the Flock House maybe is a better way to say it. Will be streamed from the Flock House. Same with
because I don't think
Trent Richardson League.
So August 11th for you would be that's the day before I get in. So N'Keal Harry, I won't be there yet.
Okay, yeah.
The Vince Young draft, that's gonna be a blast. That's gonna be so much fun in person. Yeah, that's gonna be a blast.
Okay, so Algier off the board, Shakir at the 1204. Pacheco is a fun. Like Pacheco and Bigsby, I think make more sense to roster than a backup quarterback. Like those handcuffs. Omar Cooper, Naylor, Antonio Williams coming off the board. And I got to be honest, I don't know how I'm going to go early quarterback in the Flock League. I just don't know how that's going to happen. Do you know what I mean?
Well, especially when nobody's taking a backup.
It would not be shocking. Nobody in the Flock League is taking a backup. That's a good point.
Yeah.
But would it shock you if Josh Allen's like a 4th round pick in the Flock League?
Well, this is what I'm saying. What I'm saying is that I said this to Danny yesterday. I'm like, dude, there are going to be like 4, maybe 5 times where we get on the clock and the best available pick is a quarterback by a mile, and we're going to have to be like, have the strongest willpower of all time to just be like, no, we're going to like our team later. We're going to like the quarterbacks later, no matter what we do here. Because
there's so many good quarterbacks on the board still.
And Jonah's continuing to punt. He's going to get somebody he likes in the 13th or maybe even the 14th round.
Yep. I was going to take Jonah Coleman if I didn't take Dart at the 11-1. And if I took Jonah Coleman, I would have had so many good options. I should have taken Jonah Coleman. See, I told you guys, it's a great pick, and even now I'm upset that I made the pick. Okay. We talk about late round tight ends all the time. I'm going to take my favorite late round tight end right now. Actually, I'll let him fall to the 13th round. I'll let him fall to the 13th first. All right. At wide receiver, I am tempted by Denzel Boston. I'm not going to lie to you. Boston is tempting there. But Dylan Sampson as that handcuff, probably a little more sexy for me. So we're going to grab Dylan Sampson. And then we're going to come back around and get our favorite late tight end this year. And this is why sleeper ADP is pointless. I can't even find him on the ADP right now with all the names that are currently being shown. I have to scroll down to find the tight end I'm about to take here. Yeah. Guys, please don't draft by the ADP of your site. Please, I'm begging you. We're going to take Chig Okonkwo here as our tight end in the 13th round. He is my favorite late round tight end. There's plenty that I could draft in the last round as well, but if a guy that I really love like Chig, like I'm not going to pass on Chig in the 13th just to hope he gets there in the 14th because I wanted to take my fifth backup, whatever.
I mean, Zach, I agree with Breezy. The fact that you we say, I honestly don't think you know ball, man. Sampson over Chig.
It's criminal. It's almost as criminal as Henderson over Tootin.
Come on, bro. Come on, get with the program. Get yourself a cheat sheet. You need a better cheat sheet.
We just talked about it. Clutch taking Tyler Shough in the 13th. I'm sorry, but what has to happen for that to work out?
Yeah, I don't know what the path is to. Is it just I feel like it's just an old way of thinking where, if May gets hurt, I need somebody. But in reality, Shough is not going to be very much better than anybody off the waiver wire on a given week if May happens to go down.
I love Tyler Shough. He's one of my favorite breakouts in Superflex leagues, but Shough should probably be a waiver wire. If you're in a serious league, he should be a waiver wire player.
100%. Completely agree.
I don't know, guys. You can't be having two quarterbacks when your wide receiver 2 is Courtland Sutton. That just can't happen. You almost have to try and hit on late round wide receivers here. I know it might seem pointless, but you have to be the Denzel Boston team,
Yeah, I feel
that. As Isaiah likely comes off the board, I'm imagining we might get a tight end run here.
Kalen Black, not a bad pick at all. Jordan James dealing with
I hate that for Jordan James, man.
A rib issue. But they signed Khalil Herbert. Could just be a camp thing. He could easily just get cut after that.
Yeah.
But yeah, Kalen Black looks like he does have sort of the inside track here to being the RB2 in San Francisco, which we know for a fact is valuable. And Tydarian does have McCaffrey. So
that's smart.
So hopefully handcuffing your own.
And guess what?
Your own RB1 there.
Here's the difference. Again, I'm not picking on these people. I'm trying to help everybody by doing this. I'm not trying to pick on people. You can agree or disagree. That's fine. Here's the difference. If Drake May goes down, okay, Tyler Shough is there, fine. You could have looked at the waiver wire and replaced him very easily. Again, if Jaden Daniels goes down, okay, you have Brock Purdy. Brock Purdy's a great starter, but you could have replaced a waiver wire option, right? If Christian McCaffrey goes down,
Kalen Black is immediately, or whoever the RB2 for the Niners is.
You cannot go to the waiver wire and replace that in your lineup. You just can't.
Yeah.
You can't replace that in your lineup. And this is what we're talking about when we're saying you just can't afford. Running backs have been super healthy in the last couple of years. You cannot play as if that's going to happen all the time. Doesn't mean you play scared, but I think the Kalen Black pick makes a ton of sense. Only problem is we don't know if it's Kalen Black, sorry. How long is Jordan James out? Because could still be Jordan James hypothetically. Okay, Boston comes off the board there to Jonah. And Jonah is well and truly going punt on the quarterback. He's going to punt it all the way to the last round. He says, Zach, I'll let you pick my quarterback from your tier 9 or 11.
He's just toying with us now.
He's. I mean, objectively, in a 6-point passing touchdown league, Matthew Stafford, the MVP, available in the 13th to 14th round.
Through 40.
While it,
and I don't
while
even
it
think,
makes sense, Sammy, if that isn't evidence that you should not, force quarterbacks up the board, I don't know what
is. But Zach, even in this draft though, none of these quarterbacks I think went like way earlier than they should have in terms of like pure value. Like
totally.
Josh Allen at the end of the 3rd, Jaden and Burrow in the 6th, Hurts the 7-10, Lamar in the middle of the 5th. 100%. It's like
there's not a quarterback that's drafted that you can point to and say that was a terrible pick. I think until the backups start coming.
I tried to adjust my rankings to a point where like I actually would want to take these guys.
Yeah.
But even then, it's like really difficult. Look, Stafford's available. He's my 4th best quarterback available when he got taken.
Yeah.
There's 3 guys I like more than him.
Yeah. I mean,
wild.
That's the way the cookie crumbles. Let me say this. Your running back to quarterback ratio cannot be like 1 to 2. That ratio cannot exist.
I tend to agree with that.
You're on the board here.
I am on the board here. Gosh, all the wide receivers left, they feel like they're all kind of the same. This is a league where like camp hype might dictate some waiver claims and stuff. I'm going to try and get ahead of that a little bit. I'm going to take Katron Allen.
Okay.
At the 13-11, a guy who, I think has a path to playing time pretty easily. I don't think Jacory Groski-Merritt is some unusurpable running back, so I'm gonna go with that there. And then my other decision is like, there's a tight end I really like. I have Kyle Pitts. Do I take him or do I take a flyer on a receiver? Probably both equally as unlikely to hit my lineup.
And
tough.
Steven, this is where, and this is why I'm really trying to emphasize this, guys, because of the 500 of you watching, plenty of you, like there's a percentage of you that are drafting on ESPN or Yahoo or whatever platform. And this is what Steven is talking about here. If that is accurate to your leagues, guys, where the top 10 quarterbacks are gone before the 8th round, that is where punting quarterback is going to get you such a huge advantage. When these quarterbacks are being pushed up the board, the amount of running backs and wide receivers that are falling to you, that is where you can build absolutely monster teams. It's fantastic that happens for sure. Love the Mark Andrews pick there. I think taking 2 tight ends makes sense at the back end of your draft more than the middle for sure.
Yeah, I think that, this is just a player that I believe in this year, and I don't really love any of the wide receivers down here. I think they're all kind of the same, so I went with the tight end there.
Jake Ferguson off the board. Jonah goes Bo Nix. What was the grade, Jonah? Jonah says, Zach, this pick of mine should be a 10 on your board, but I know it won't be. To be clear, guys, I made it impossible for anyone to ever receive a grade of 10 when they have a draft pick, okay? Just because I'm not, all right, this isn't a candy store where you're getting free samples. No, nobody gets a 10, all right? The highest that you can get, like, let's see what a 7.7 is a very good grade, okay?
Yeah. I'm shocked that Jonah passed up on the opportunity to stack Justin Jefferson with Kyler Murray there.
Yeah, actually, but Bo Nix, that's the thing though. I do think Bo Nix would be really hard to pass on, so I get it.
Yeah, I mean,
yeah, exactly.
Kyler,
you know what?
Straight up, but...
Breezy makes a good point here. Dave Portnoy's pizza scale. That's how, like, we're not. I doubt anybody, and please tag me on Twitter if you do. I doubt any of you guys will ever get a score over 9. I don't think that's going to happen. I don't think any of you will ever get a score over 9. Hit me up on Twitter if you do. Low key, I did want Ferguson or Andrews with my last pick. That's okay. They're gone. Let's look at the draft board, though. This is the part of the board where you can see some glaring values. Look at that. Typically a 9th round pick in our best ball leagues. Ricky Pearsall. It's a lot of quarterbacks. Yeah. I'm almost tempted to just take a running back that like someone could have an injury, and
yeah, that's what I'm feeling with these. Like,
you know,
what's gonna happen for like Adonai Mitchell to all of a sudden rise in draft?
Yeah.
What's gonna happen for Trey Harris or Jerry Jeudy or, you know, Flournoy?
Yeah.
Like the running backs here, I think at this point in the offseason, when we're drafting on August 2nd, stacking guys who could have good camps and could rise in the late rounds here is like, I mean, I honestly, maybe I should have just done that instead of Mark Andrews, because I can probably pick Mark Andrews up week 1. You know, it's not like there's going to be some report out of Ravens camp that's like, Mark Andrews looks like he's going to have a resurgent season.
AJ says you can't waiver Kyler. You can't waiver rushing upside, period. Well, I don't think he's going to be drafted, so he probably is going to be on the waiver wire here, but there'll be plenty of leagues where he is drafted, plenty of leagues where he is undrafted, for sure. Shout out to Rushing Collusion, who became a member over there on YouTube, which just kind of shows you a little bit special in the chat. Shout out to you, my dude. Shout out to Lavon Cardine. Appreciate y'all supporting the channel. My last pick here.
Mr. Irrelevant.
Yeah, there's truly... Ricky Pearsall, so sad to look at.
Rough, dude.
There's truly no one. Like, I could take Greg Dulcich. Chris Bell is kind of fun, but again, like, what are these guys? What would need to happen for them to rise up?
I'd be shocked if he didn't start on PUP too.
I feel like Ray Davis. Actually, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just gonna take Jordan James, because I can just go to the waiver wire after this. But
yeah,
if James ends up having some report where it's like he's back in a week or something, you know.
Yeah, and he's the RB2. Yeah,
that will be the best pick I can make here. So that's the first real draft we have of the year, gang. I'd be curious to see what the Flock site shows on my teams.
Let's find out, shall we?
Let's pull it up, shall we? Just putting my username in here, and we will add the Clyde Edwards-Helaire League. And let's see, according to expert consensus, who had the best draft. Where are we at here? Okay, so in expert consensus, I'm not rigging this. I'm sorry. Expert consensus has whoever this guy is, number 1. Personally, I think it's a dog shit team. I mean, Gibbs.
For anybody who is new, our site, we do value the top players like a lot. So Gibbs and Bijan are going to get big boosts at the top here.
So I am number 1 by expert consensus. We do have Sammy at 6. This, honestly, guys, when you just finish your draft, it really doesn't mean that much. Like, from 1 to 12, there's a very small gap compared to what the end of the season teams will look like here. So 12 is not that far off from 1 anyway. How about from my specific rankings? In my specific rankings, I am first, Jonah's second. No surprise, Jonah is Team Land here. He's our commissioner. In Sammy's rankings, we have Sammy ranked number 1. Who would have thunk it? I am ranked 3rd. And who would that be? That would be probably Amari Hampton, Chase Brown. And Lawrence was a great value too.
Lawrence is insane value. Waddle as well. Like I have him as like a mid-3rd. Took him in the 4th. J-Mo and Tate, that turn as well, I think helps me a lot in here.
But we appreciate you guys big time coming here and hanging out. Obviously, if you don't know, you can actually use the My Teams feature completely free. Just make sure you sign up with the code LAND, and then you can enter, your sleeper username, ESPN, there's a way to do it, Yahoo. Just follow the steps for all these different platforms. It's the same link that's in the pinned comment where you can buy a season pass membership. Even if you go to that and you click, buy the season pass, you can still create a free account. Just use the code LAND. I had a ton of fun. We'll be doing this again. Here's the good news. The next time we're doing this is Tuesday night, okay, in the Trey Lance League, which the name of that just hurts my heart so much. I loved Trey Lance as a prospect when he went to the Niners. But the Trey Lance League is happening on Tuesday night. So just like we had happen today, you're welcome to join that draft. If you're a Land Season Pass member, you can enter on landleagues.com. this is your last chance to enter today's giveaway. Okay, I am going to give away a season pass with the code LAND. Best deal in the industry. If you're already a member, you can still enter. All you have to do to enter is like the stream, and then step 2 is to type the code word, which is first. I've got some great content coming out for you tomorrow. Tomorrow I have a video called 5 Players Fantasy Experts Hate and Why They're Wrong. Sammy's got some great content coming out. If you haven't gone and followed Sammy yet, you had a strategy video come out last week about running backs. What's your next video upcoming?
Yeah. We're gonna do. It's gonna be some sort of. I don't know what the exact frame will be in, but just guys that I'm drafting that I like.
Sure.
My guy type of video that'll be coming out on Tuesday this week.
So make sure you guys subscribe to Sammy's channel. And yeah, I think we should do this giveaway. There's 114 of you guys entered. So I'm going to give you one last shot. And just before we do, I am going to answer, let's say we'll answer 2 questions in the chat so people can get their last giveaways in. 2 questions in the chat. We'll answer one from Levon. 10-team Superflex, no tight end premium, got offered Bowers and Chase Brown for Ken Walker, Brian Thomas Jr., and the 110 and a 27 first. Is this Dynasty? This looks like a Dynasty question to me.
It's gotta be. Bowers and Chase Brown for Ken Walker, BTJ, the 110, and a 27 first. So Ken Walker, Chase Brown's a wash for me.
It is Dynasty, by the way.
It is, yeah. BTJ, I mean, still.
BTJ,
oh, no, it's not a wash. I prefer Ken Walker.
I'm guessing the 110 is in 2026, which I could not care less about. So really, it's like Brian Thomas and a 27 first or Bowers. I'm very easily keeping the Bowers side of this. It's a 10-team league, so
also 10-team. Yeah.
Tight ends are a little bit, I know there's no premium, but they're a little bit more valuable to your roster.
So I think he has Ken Walker, BTJ in the picks. So I think he'd be trading for Bowers and Chase Brown.
Okay. I'm fine to take Bowers there.
Non-tight end premium.
If you're a contender.
Even?
In a non-tight end premium still, yeah.
Yeah, if this like puts you into being, one of the best teams in the league contending this year, I would agree. I'd take Bowers, Chase Brown here.
Someone said John Moran or LaMelo Ball. Is there a neither option? Not LaMelo. I'll go LaMelo. Anyway. All right, let's do this giveaway. 117 entrants. Good luck to everybody and to everybody. Good luck. Let me copy your names now. I had a lot of fun today, guys. I hope you had fun watching. There's a lot of names there. I can't really see any of them, but going to go ahead and spin this. Good luck. I hope all of you win, even though that's unrealistic. Our winner today is Matt Bear. Matt, DM me on Discord. And you're already a member, but I'll hook you up with an additional voucher for the season, my friend. Appreciate you big time. Again, guys, last thing I'll say as we end today's stream, if you haven't become a season pass member with the code LAND, I don't know what you're waiting on. The best deal in the industry, just $34. It's actually ridiculous. Like, we talked about it this year. We're like, should we raise the price? Like, it's like we could honestly charge $70 for this product and it would be the best product in the industry. I genuinely wholeheartedly believe that. But we're like, no, let's just make it still the best product in the industry at the most affordable rate. No matter what your circumstance are, pretty much everybody can afford $34. It's like 20 cents per day if you think about how you're going to use it from now until the end of the season. So become a season pass member with the code LAND. Sammy, appreciate you.
Yeah, appreciate you, man. This was an absolute blast. Can't wait to keep these going. And Zach, man, I mean, next week will be a few days away from me joining you in Austin, Texas.
Yeah, this time next week I'll be streaming from Austin, which is awesome.
I am so pumped. It's gonna be a blast.
All right, guys, enjoy the rest of your night. Check out my video that comes out tomorrow. Check out Sammy's channel, and we'll see you soon. Nothing but love.